Welcome to JDM Imported.
What up, my JDM heads? How's your day going? I'm doing well. Glad to be here. What are we at, episode 19? JDM Imported Podcast. As always, Dante Prinzo here with Elusive Auto Company. And I think I stuck to what I said I was going to do last podcast. You know, I have been all over the place. It's been for a while there to one a month, couple months goes by, nothing. And I said last week, because we had the big update, that I would follow up the following week, and I'm doing that. Well, in all fairness to myself, I'm doing that as far as recording. Now, uploading, because sometimes, I don't know why, I might wait 3 or 4 days to do so, so that might not fall in the timeline. But at least I'm recording. At least we're getting a start here. So consider this episode kind of part 2 of the major update. You know, if you've been with me through the ride, we've gone through the major life change update of transitioning from a comfortable job to whatever the hell I'm doing right now. Following my passion. As always, though, following my passion that, without sounding conceited or full of myself, that I'm good at. You don't want to follow passions you're not good at. You need to be good at it to start if you're starting a business. Rule number 1. But, so, you know, we started from there. The next big update was this move to Pittsburgh, which we're here now. We're in a house. We're totally unpacked. Kids are in school. Like, it's feeling like home now, thankfully. Kind of back to normal in the life schedule there. And I'm not going to go through a 10-minute preface as I usually do. Next up on the list, get a shop space. Always wanted one. You know, I was started the detailing thing mobily, which is really the safest, best place to start because, quite frankly, if you're trying to hone your skills in something and you can do it in an environment that's not conducive to the best results and you can still kind of get at that level, then you know whenever you have a controlled environment, you'll be good. And I think that applies to detailing, obviously, because we're talking environment more literally, right? But I think it applies also to everything else, to business, to, you know, if you can work in an environment where you don't quite get along with coworkers or the boss, that, you know, the management style isn't really jiving with who you are, but you've found ways not to conform, but to adapt, you know, so that you can put yourself in a successful position while things outside your control aren't optimum. And I think being comfortable in that uncomfortable setting is what sets people up for success when they do have the ability to call the shots, or the ability to manage how they want, or the ability to buy what they want, or the ability to whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know, we got a good start there. And same with importing of cars. You know, I was doing it out of my garage. Mind you, I was fortunate enough that, you know, I wasn't doing it in an apartment building or a single car garage. I had, you know, a 2-car garage with ample space to park 2 cars and have a workshop. So that helped, you know, when I was bringing cars in and I was, you know, restoring them. I hate to say restoring because, you know, I mean, restoring can mean anything. I mean, that's like generalizing cleaning, and it could mean anything from, you know, wiping off a bug with a dry cloth to like paint correction. It's just, but anyways, I was fixing the cars up. I was making them look better than how I got them, because my goal was and always will be when I import cars from Japan, they're not going to be in perfect shape. They're not going to be in perfect shape when I'm done, but I want to leave things better than I found them, always. With everything in life, not just cars in my business, but it's kind of the goal with everything. I mean, just to kind of give you a perspective of kind of how I live that. And I don't think it's any weird neurosis or anything, but even we're at a stoplight. So this town that we live in, it's a little more urban than we came from, and that's what we wanted. Love it. Super happy where we're at. But waiting at a traffic light, crosswalk, and there's just this hideous weed growing out of this beautiful flower bed. It was this weed, and it just really, I don't know. Maybe it was just I was in a good mood that day, whatever. But beautiful flowers, shrubs. There's a garbage can and literally a weed right next to the garbage can, and we're waiting there. So I rip the weed out and I throw it in the can. You know what I mean? Like, I don't work for the city, municipality, or anything like that, but it's just, it's something that just, it's always kind of coursing through me. Leave things better than you found them. I'm not one that believes in karma or anything like that, but I do believe you can kind of help shape the world around you through stuff like that. Enough of this positivity. This, whatever this is. This motivational speak. Didn't mean for it to be that way, but that's just to kind of give you an idea of the headspace I'm in. And the approach that I'm taking with my business, and I'm continuing to take, with the importing cars, with the detailing, it's the same thing. I don't want it just to be good enough. I want to make things better. So even if it's just a little, like a quick polish, a piano black finish on a center console that takes me 3 minutes, but it restores that piece rather than, you know what I mean? Anyways, the news. Look at this. What am I looking at the counter here? 6 minutes in, I plant the seed. Say, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Usually I'll rant for a little longer than that. But I don't think you guys are listening on pins and needles. You know what I'm going to say. Shop space. Got a shop space. It's official. I've had it for a little while, but it's official to you now. It's official to the world. Had to jump through some hoops here, but I wanted to share some details about the space, my plans with this space, and future plans, and also just without getting too much in the weeds, just some things I'm kind of working through when setting up a business like this. So let's discuss the space, and then I also want to get into actually a car. It's actually it already landed. It's one that I brought in for a client. If you followed me, you know that I brought in and sold the lowest mileage Cedric that at least I found. I hate to claim the lowest mileage in the States, but of anything publicized, it was the lowest mileage in the States. It was less than 10,000 miles. It was actually less than 9,000 miles when I got it. But I loved that Cedric. It was just bone stock. Perfect. Sold that. The person since has been enjoying it, modding it, whatever. And this client of mine came to me because of that car. Saw it online. Of course, it was sold. And, I was like, hey, I can bring one in for you. Purchasing service. Perfect segue. So found him just really cool. I mean, it's not super clean. Has some dings and dents. But it's tastefully modified, coilovers, I think some tine suspension on it, just kind of the basic, not the tine basics, but the softer spring rate, kind of more VIP style, and some 20-inch works, I believe, on it. So just a really tastefully done white, really same color combo as the one that I had, and it landed on the 9th. So, I'm just going through kind of take you through some of the things I've been dealing with that, with just importing that. And then also, man, I need to get another car in. This is, I really have been enjoying, and I want to continue to grow the consulting side of this, where I help people source and file and do everything kind of from A to Z, just manage all logistics. So all they have to do is really stress about what car they want, how much they want to spend to get that car, and I kind of take care of everything else, So I want to continue to grow that. I love that. I think there's a real need for that. But man, I miss having cars here. Like I still, for real, guys, I still have the FC. It's in storage. I'm actually just going to move it to my new shop on hopefully Thursday. Today's Wednesday, so hopefully tomorrow. Today's the 11th, 12th, maybe. I might move it into the shop, and then I can start working on it. It's and I'm probably going to have to go through it. I was close to just being done with it with the body work, but I noticed just within storage, it's developed an oil leak, which could be nothing. Sometimes when they sit for a while, that's just what you have to deal with rotaries, or could means it's just, the seal's dried out. And I might have to pop the engine out and do a minor rebuild. But I would want to do that before I sell it. I don't want to sell anything knowing that it has a leak. You know what I mean? If if things happen after someone buys it, I mean, there's only so much you can do, right, to guarantee things. I mean, you really can't. These are classic cars, especially when we're talking rotary. So it's as is. I can look over them as scrupulously as possible, under, inside, upside down. But that's not to save you from a week later, it starts to overheat or a leak develops. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to look through that, see what the oil situation is. So that's probably going to slow things down, and it's going to put us into the cold months. So hopefully it'll be for sale in the cold months, just in time to sit for 3 months until someone buys it. unless one of you finds someone in the meantime. But so it's not that I'm discrediting that car. I want to bring something else in, but I kind of need to sell that first to come up with the money for another car. Maybe I can swing it, but it just, with just opening a shop in a physical location, it's like, is it the smartest thing right now? I've just been hungry for it. So I'm going to chat about that a little bit on the tail end of this, kind of some cars that I've been looking at. And I don't know, I think maybe me talking out loud, discussing some of the cars I'm looking at, and sharing it with you. And of course, any feedback that you have or thoughts, reach out at Elusive Auto Co. So yeah, let's get into the space. Oh boy. I'm going to give you a quick story about how I got this space, because I think it's all about the stories in life, right? I mean, great. We can check off milestones, right? Moving, check. Space, check. You know what I mean? But really the stuff I remember is the stories to that check mark. You know what I mean? What led to that pen hitting the paper in a downward and then a sharp upward motion? What led to that? Well, I will tell you what led to that. So, moved into this house in the town of Mount Lebanon, Pittsburgh, which is essentially a Pittsburgh address, which is just outside the city. It's a place I've always wanted to live. My wife and I have always wanted to live. It's not suburbia. It's not the city. It's kind of in between. Nice quiet streets, but everything's walkable. Sidewalks everywhere. You can walk to restaurants. You can walk to groceries, whatever. It's so without getting too domestic, for those of you that aren't in the domestic stage of your life, good for you, and I won't bore you any longer. But that is why we chose Mount Lebanon. And from a business standpoint, it's just a good location. So for importing, is location important? Hell no. Not remotely. I could be in a warehouse in the middle of a field, in the middle of the state, in the middle of the country. Like, it doesn't matter. Well, to a point. I mean, we're talking like auto transport, logistics. Sometimes it helps to be a little closer to the coast. And Pittsburgh's not awful. We're kind of in a nice transport corridor. But for the most part, it doesn't matter. I'm not having many local people that just so happen stumble across my storefront and be like, hey, I really could use a FD today. You got any? You know what I mean? And I'm not there yet anyways, as far as, full-on dealership. So this was like the perfect location, because I do need some, not necessarily store frontage, but it's got to be an easy place to get to for people to find me for detailing and for whatever else I do out of this space. But as with most areas like this, if you're trying to get on the main drag, it's quite expensive. Not smart when you're starting a business. And I consider me just starting the business. Yes, this has been going on since 2017, but I'm just starting in Pittsburgh, which it's like starting from scratch, right? At least for the local stuff, for detailing, it's a whole new clientele. And for the importing, if you've been following me, I've obviously slowed down on bringing cars in. I was bringing cars in, fixing them, selling them, bringing them in, fixing them, selling them, and I was very steady. Like, I always had something, and I usually had 2 and sometimes even 3 cars, like, kind of backed up. So, but that's been, that's been paused a bit, mainly because of the move. I mean, I didn't want to move all those cars, so I kind of wanted to clear things out, with exception to the FC. Who knows? And it might even turn into like a shop car, which would be completely selfish and irresponsible, but who knows? So that's kind of been put on hold. So I need to make sure I'm in a good space, that one of the three pillars of the business is the detailing, and that's at a successful location. So I was having trouble finding spots, obviously, especially spots that were inexpensive and that weren't like off a gravel driveway. Like the stuff I was finding. I mean, we're talking like I was finding stuff that was like old storage facilities for 18-wheelers. I mean, we're talking ruts, mud. With a straight face, I couldn't ask somebody to bring their Porsche or whatever and be like, yeah, take a left at the dumpsters, at the front. Make sure that you hit it at a 45 degree on that rut, or you're going to get stuck. And, mind the mud when it rains after I make your car look pristine. I mean, it's just, that's what I was finding. So I was getting a little discouraged. And my wife, I wasn't even looking in this area because, I did briefly, and I'm like, I'm not spending like $1,200-$1,500 a month in rent. I mean, that's just, when I need to, I will, but I don't need to now, and I can't sustain that, right? And plus, we're coming into, I'm probably going to get 3 or 4 good months, and then it's wintertime up here, in which I'm going to have to get quite creative. So, but she was like looking on Craigslist. I'm like, man, Craigslist is bogus. You're not going to find anything on there. It's usually like a ton of redundancy. Like some bonehead broker lists the same commercial property 10 times, like every day, twice a day. So he's at the top of the list, and it's just annoying. And I mean, really dealing with brokers in general is irritating. But she saw this listing, and it was in Mount Lebanon. I'm like, whatever. It's going to be like $1 million. And she's like, yeah, it's like $500 a month. And then I'm thinking, well, it's probably like trash or in some weird spot of Mount Lebanon. And it is in a really weird spot. And I think that's why it wasn't leasing. Because it's in a weird spot that no one actually operated a business out of. They just kind of use it for storage. But if you get a little creative, it's the best spot. The best I can ask. Bar none. So just to paint a picture, so there's the main strip, if you will, and that's where the restaurants are, and like office buildings, bars, bank, hardware store, and it's kind of like old timey. So you have this lane, and that's where all the people walk. That's where people from other townships drive, park, walk around to the cafes, and whatever, and hang out and make like a Sunday of it, right? It is this space in a parking lot right off the main road. So it's like the main road. And then there's, a bar, a sushi restaurant, Japanese restaurant. And behind that is where a lot of people park, called the Academy parking lot. And in that parking lot, there's this building that's kind of attached to like the restaurant building. And it's a very weird building because in the bottom of it is another street side where there's like offices. And then there's a couple apartments on the top of it. And it's just very like mixed use. And then there's this 2-car garage. So like reluctantly, I'm like, whatever, I guess I'll give it the time of day. So and there was like no pictures. It was a super cryptic, just a stupid listing, really lazy listing. And, I email the agent, call, because then I was getting more excited about it, just because I wasn't finding anything and it was cheap. So I'm like, I don't even care what this is. If it's a 1-car garage, I'll make it work, at least for the time being. And she's not getting back to me. A week goes by, so I've just kind of like wrote it off, and I'm still out there pounding the pavement. Like actually old school stuff. Like I'm walking into places that I knew had some stuff for lease or that looked like they were unoccupied, and I'm just like talking to people, finding out who the owner was, whatever. And just not finding anything. So this broker gets back to me, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's still available. I can meet you next week." I'm like, "Can you meet me today? Like I'm in the area. Like just 5 minutes opening up, I'll be able to know in an instant if it works or not." I mean, really. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll meet you there 10:30 a.m. So And I'm sitting there like every morning at this point. I'm going to a coffee shop. I'm on my laptop, trying to get things lined up with my business and trying to find a place. So I pop over there. She no-shows me. Complete no-show. I call, totally ghost. Nothing. Email, call, text. I even looked her up on Facebook. I'm Facebook messaging her, DMing her like a freak on Insta, and just stalking her basically. Nothing. So, I waited till like 11:30 there, and I was bummed out, and I'm like, I'm swearing and stuff. I'm just kind of pissed because I was getting my hopes up, and I saw like where it was, and I was like, oh man, if this place just is at all functional inside, it's a go. Because it's like, given it's behind like restaurants and stuff, so there's like dumpsters there, and like it's kind of a weird alley, but it's an alley nonetheless that runs straight into this garage, and then right off that alley is this parking lot that is busy all the time, which for me is just it's just customers, right? To me, that's just a lot full of prospects that see, hey, what's going on over there? And they're usually nicer cars, just kind of a nicer part of town. So I'm getting like super excited and even more bummed. I'm like, man, this could be, and like no one's thinking about this, and they're not asking much at all, probably because it's like, what would you use this for? You know what I mean? Like it's not a storefront. It only has a garage entrance unless you go through the building, which is on another street. Kind of like a block over. It's very odd layout. But so the meter maid is walking around, real nice guy. He's like retired business owner from the area. And I start talking to him about what I was doing. And he's like, hey, you need to go see so-and-so. So he gave me like the name of someone that owns one of the businesses in the attached building. And he's like, and then talk to this guy. He heads up, the township partnership. And then, so he gave me like 2 names. And I just started on a little detective work. So I, go into the back of this bar, ask for the owner. He knew the investment company, I guess, that owned the building, and gave me a name. He didn't have any contact information. I tried to look it up online. I didn't find any contact information for this name. So I go to another guy at another business down the street, talk to him. He's head of the partnership who kind of decides on who comes in and out of the area. He gave me a name of someone at the municipal building. So I go to the municipal building. I talk to him, the business development manager for the whole, the whole city, the whole town there. And talk to him about my ideas, what I want to do. And he's like, hey, I think this would be good there. I think this would work. And there's no redundancy, which is the main thing. Because right now they're kind of, they got that old town feel, but it turned in, and I think they just put some restrictions. There's like too many doctors' offices popping up, real estate agents, shit that like no one's just walking around on a Sunday thinking that like, oh, that's a great looking display in the podiatrist's office. Like, I think I'm going to go, get checked out. Like, that's not what you need on that main strip. On that main strip, it should just be food, cafes, boutiques, stuff that just like is more destination and fun rather than functional. Functional stuff's for the blocks off of it. That's not pretty. The doctors, the dentists, the stuff that you don't need store frontage for. So he liked it. So he gave me like, so this was all maybe 2.5 hours of like back and forth and me talking to people. And like, I didn't call, like I physically went into these buildings and talked and shook hands. And lesson be learned, for those of you out there trying to get some things rolling, sometimes the simplest form of communication is the most effective. It is so cliche, but sometimes a look in the face and a handshake goes so much further than an email and a phone call. It just does. I truly believe the reason I'm in this place is because I was just physically there, like talking to people and getting information. So he gives me the name of the owner, like not the investment company, but like the actual owner, direct number. So I'm like, thank you. So I leave a message at this owner, just a quick 30-second blurb, call me back, please, very interested. And I did. I threw the broker and I was like, I had an appointment set up. It fell through. I'm still here. So if there's somebody that can unlock the door for me so I can look at it, I'd appreciate it. Whether that's a maintenance person or whoever. Exactly 3 minutes after I left that message, I got a call from the broker who ghosted me. Coincidence? Not so sure we're coincidence territory. So she calls back, super apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry. I got the days mixed up. I'm like, whatever. I'm here now. Can you come down? So she did quickly. I looked at it. Long story long, the space was way better than I thought from the outside. I mean, we're talking it's 2-car garage, 14, 15-foot ceilings, but it's very deep, so you can comfortably do 2 wide and then 1 in the back. So 3 cars in there to like work around. And if I wanted to get creative, I mean, you could store probably 5 in there, but my layout now with cabinetry kind of dividing the front and the back portion of it, it's really set up for like 1 in the back for... I kind of wanted to keep all my mechanics stuff, the dirty stuff separate. So like the FC and any car I bring in that I'm working on will be in the back where all my tools are. And that's divided by kind of a row of cabinets, tall cabinets. Then I have a waiting area space, and then there's room in the front for 2 cars next to each other. So like kind of 1 to store that I'm done with, and then 1 on a really nice Swiss Trex pad that I put together. That'll be kind of the detail area and the showroom area. So like when someone comes to look at a car, I pull it out there, and it's just pretty. I mean, it's white brick on the inside, very old looking building, and I've updated it, added a utility sink, some functional things. I mean, this space was not designed for business. This has only been used for storage. No one's operated a business out of it because it's just doesn't. It's like there's no parking, and again, it's a weird location. But guys, I got to tell you, I think it is the best. It is a gem because I got that physical location of convenience and the price of a place that is way off the beaten path, just because I kind of got a little creative. So so we did the deal, signed the lease on it, and I've been getting it up and running ever since. So and I've been working at it. I mean, I've been busy, even though I can't be found on Google anymore because they suspended both my accounts because I changed the address. So that's a whole fun thing. If anyone has some insight on that, please help me out. Good God, that's been a stress. I mean, when you have reviews that you work so hard for, and then all of a sudden, if someone searches anything to do with your company, they can't find you on Google? Like, kids, it's like stabbing me in the heart. Give me a break. I can't change the address, or they need to verify the address. It's been 2 months. And no one can find me on Google still because I've been trying to show them, and I have 2 separate entrances to this area, or to my building. There's one like building entrance, which is through a hallway where I even did separate signage, Elusive Auto Company on the sign. And on the garage portion where people will bring their cars in for detailing, it's on a separate street, same address though. That's the caveat. I have Elusive Auto Shine, and I took the pictures and I sent them to them, and they still said, you can't have two businesses at the same location unless they're since one is a service for the other. And I've been trying to explain that there is zero crossover. None of my import clients will ever get their car detailed there. I mean, yes, I might use like the equipment for cleaning up the cars, but I mean, it's just it's slim. I mean, unless it was somebody local between you and I mean, but the clientele doesn't cross over. It's not like I'm a dealership where I'm dealing with the volume and this is like my detail department. You know what I mean? Especially right now, because it's more importing on a consulting basis. 5 car a year. But anyway, so I'm still trying to get a listing on. But thankfully I've been busy just from it being there and people walking by and being curious, and they see nice cars in there and they're like, I didn't even know this was back here. I've been parking here for years. And it's just like, it's highly visible without being on that main strip. And it's, there's no parking. I had to bring in extra, for lack of a better term, electricity, because there was only 2 20-amp breakers in the whole place. Because again, it's not built to like operate a business. I had to get a lot of plumbing work done to just simply put in a utility sink so I can wash things. It's been great though. I don't know if I love the space because it's great or because it's mine, but I don't care. it's awesome, having a little like TV set up there, a nice little waiting area. And I'd really like it to be a community vibe where people can come in and I can, maybe teach monthly classes on like car care, even like general stuff, or like people can come in and test out products for detailing, and test out tools and have like, test panels, all kind of stuff. I really want to be involved locally, because especially now, because firsthand I experienced the benefits of just being present and persistent, and it makes me love this community and want to be part of it and really give back even more, to offer classes for free, not charge people to come and learn the proper way to maintain their coating or whatever it is, or wash their car, or if they want to come in and just see like a cool right-hand drive car, or like take rides, and you know what I mean? Like there's so much cool stuff that I can do now that I have a space, and I'm really excited. I'm still minor, fingers crossed, because as with, all townships are different, but I'm waiting for the occupancy permit to come in and really make things official so I can like be highly visible then. It's kind of been a little more under the radar, but you kind of have to have everything in, your fire inspection, all that stuff, and then they can come and approve you for a business. So, which I'm sure there's reasons beyond my understanding, but it is nerve-wracking to say the least, because you put your heart and soul into it. You put a ton of money into this space, even though it's not much a month. I've just, in just buying extra tools and cabinetry and, the plumbing, electricity, it's a lot. And they potentially could say, nah, we thought about it. It's not really a good spot. Then what? Like, what do you do? I don't get it. But anyways, I think I'm good. My connections at the municipality say that they like the idea. I showed them that I'm very low volume. Their only worry was like the water runoff. And I'm like, I'm using deionized water. This stuff's cleaner than distilled. So anything that's runoff, and the soap is safer than, most stuff that you're washing dishes with, and car runoff that's going into the sewer. Let's be real. Like, for the one or maybe two cars a day I'm going to be physically washing, a lot of it's, restoration, paint correction stuff. Like, yeah, I'm not hurting the environment. At least I don't think so. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's good. But anyways, that was the only speed bump, but it doesn't seem to be a concern to anyone anymore. It's just them doing research on the property, because again, no one's had a business there. And they just, I don't know, figuring out how to structure things. So, but that's the space. Man, I'm super excited about it. If you've checked out any of my social media, you can kind of get some pictures of the space, so you can then visualize when I'm speaking to you now. But I am beyond appreciative to the community, appreciative of you guys for listening. Really, it's like I've said before, it is. This podcast is the reason anyone, I feel like, reaches out to me about importing, the import purchasing program, because this is really the only place I mention it, and it's where I've gotten most of my customers for it. So it just, because again, it's a national thing, So segue into so just quick thank you. I've never been more stressed. I have never put in more hours, and I'm happier than ever. Hands down. So, segue into the car coming in. So the Cedric landed on the 9th, and it's the first time. So and this is the interesting thing, and this is why I tell people I don't like there to be any surprises. So up front, when somebody says they want to bring a car in, I like to walk through the process with them. This is what you can expect. This is the duration. These are the costs associated. These are some of the hurdles, depending on the area, that we're going to run into. It's not an exact science. The only time it's an exact science is if I was only dealing with the same shipping company in the same port. But even still, as you've probably listened to in past episodes, hurdles I ran into with security offices or customs officers that had different interpretations at that same Savannah place that I always bring my cars into, that's not an exact science. So obviously, you just need to be patient, right? And you need to understand that there might be, there's going to be an 11th hour, it's going to pop up, but we'll handle it because I'm here, because you have someone in your corner. So it's all good. But so I'm going through this, bringing the Cedric in, and everything's smooth as it should. The Cedric's, we win it. It's exported. ISF is filed. So, and that's the order. It's export certificate is usually by the seller. And I have a gent that takes care of that. So gets me the bill of landing, the export certificate, DHL overnight. I file the ISF like I have for every car, and that's just the security bond, and then also the single entry bond. So, and what I've been doing in the past, when I bring cars in, I have a continuous bond, which is a yearly bond. I can bring in as much as I want, as many times as I want, and I only pay a yearly fee instead of it's like $250 for a year as opposed to $125, $135 for each entry. Makes sense, right? And that's great for cars that I bring in and I kind of refinish and I sell, that I retail. Totally cool because, it's all in my name, my company's name. The title, it's seamless. The only thing is, when it comes in for me to sell it, I have that 4 to 5 week waiting period for the title, for the state title, right? Because you get all the stuff in, you get it inspected, they send it away to special titles, and then you get, your PA, your NC, your text, whatever state title you get back, right? It's never instant. I don't think with any states. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't found any states where it's instant title for a car that's been imported from out of the country. So, but in doing that for other people, that means they have to wait another month once their car comes in, right? So the way around that is it just all gets filed in their name. So the bond is in their name, and I still take care of all that stuff, right? So I take care of all that, submit it all, put their name on it, just have them sign it, blah, 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 blah. And then that way it comes in. They're the consignee. It's their car, and then they can take it back to their state and take the paperwork to their DMV, and then they have the car when they're waiting for the title, and it's totally legal, and they can drive it, use it, insure it, all of that stuff. So perfect sense, right? So we got that handled, got the continuous bond or the single entry bond, and as what happens sometimes, people's schedules change, and I totally understand that. So the buyer schedule changed and needed somebody else to pick the car up. So and that's fine. You can actually have anyone pick the car up as long as they have the proper paperwork. And this is something that I wasn't quite sure about because each port might be different. So this is coming into Freeport, Texas. I called them up, explained the situation, and I wish all cars came in through Freeport. Oh my God, this was like so easy. So much easier than Savannah even, because I got, first of all, someone that didn't hang up on me, someone that was nice, because even though I know the process, I'm new to that place. So I need to talk to somebody at Ocean Terminal who's, or the port master, whoever. I need to get some ears on the phone so I can make sure that everything's smooth, because the last thing I want is someone to go pick it up and it's, you don't have this, you don't have that, this isn't done. Like, it is so much more stressful bringing a car in for someone else than myself. Because if I go down there and it's like, I gotta like drive somewhere or wait a couple hours or call or fax or, go get an extra copy at the local, FedEx, like, I just roll with it because there's no option. I'm getting it done and I'm comfortable in that. But when I have somebody that's no exposure to this, I want them to go there with the proper address. This is who you talk to. This is exactly what to put in front of their face. And this is what they're going to do after that. And then you take the car. That's it. That is the level of simplicity I want it to be. And I stress about all the details so no one's calling me like, hey, what about this? I didn't get this. They said I need this. I don't know. So, and knock on wood, I haven't had any issues with that, even dealing with all of these different ports, because they're all different. So so a little bit of a curveball. We were planning on, like I usually do, getting all the paperwork lined up, all the clearance forms, and then having the client physically, drive down to the port with the clearance forms, stop at the customs office, They stamp it, they clear it in the system, then you drive down to the port, and they release your cargo. Pretty simple. And then that way, you're not paying a broker, to essentially submit the paperwork. But if you're having somebody else come, that doesn't fly. It needs to be submitted through a broker and cleared electronically before you get there. Now, once that's done, anyone can show up. Once that's done, because that's typically what you do if you're going to have a trucker pick it up, right? Well, as long as they have security clearance, it doesn't matter, because their thing is, if this trucker has the delivery order, the arrival notice, copy of the bill of landing, like, they don't care the identity, because it's like, you don't just get that stuff. You know what I mean? I probably shouldn't say this, but I guess if somebody took that paperwork, technically they could just go get the car. There would be a paper trail, and you will get caught. So no ideas out there. But man, keep your paperwork on lock, because whoever you give it to, that's who can pick up the car for you. So in some ports will require power of attorney, just something, and it's very basic that you just get kind of a written notice from the person to release it. But this port doesn't, so you just basically hand the paperwork to whoever you want. In this case, it was a family member. Handed it to this family member, and he can just go pick up the car. Lickety split. So yeah, just I kind of wanted to. I don't know where I was going with that. I just wanted to kind of walk you through that and what's going on. But it's and I guess what I mainly wanted to share was that it's nerve-wracking for me. It's not easy. Because it's again, this is somebody else. I don't mind if I have issues, but I just want everything to be smooth for everybody. And but it is so rewarding knowing that just another right-hand drive gem is coming in the States, and something attached to me somehow. It's just a good feeling. So that's all going smooth, and I think they're picking it up tomorrow morning, but I have confirmation that everything's good. Oh, the other nice thing, and check with your ports, because if you just use their website as reference, you'll always get the answer that you need an escort. This is why, and this is another reason why I wanted to share. You will get, you go in the security section of whatever port, the port of whatever. You search, picking up vehicle, whatever guidelines they have, and usually it's under security, and almost all of them, at least all the ones I've dealt with, have a section that says, you need a TWIC escort, which is, an escort with a security clearance, which I have a TWIC card. I guess I can actually apply to be an escort, which wouldn't be a bad idea, because they get paid a lot of money for babysitting. And I go on the website of Freeport, Texas Port, and you read down, and it's, TWIC escort required. $80 an hour for most of the ones they recommend. $80 an hour. Okay, whatever. How long can it take? An hour? And they don't prorate. But their minimum is 4 hours. Minimum of 4 hours. For something that it might take 30 minutes. And this is for somebody, this is what they do. They meet you at the gate. They take you in, and they stand by your side until your car comes out, and then you have to drive out with your car nose to bumper with the escort, and then that's it. Sometimes it takes longer if you have to wait for the clerk to get your car, but let's be real, it's not taking 4 hours. On my worst days, where it was like something got really messed up, weather was bad, paperwork, on the day when I ran into that issue with security not letting the person I came down with, drive out together, and I didn't have a trailer that day because I was going to drive the car I picked up. Actually, I think it was it wasn't with the Cedric. It might have been with the FD. But anyways, I was going to drive it back, and they would not let, even though I have a TWIC card and I could bring in a guest, we had to be in the same car. And I'm like, how's this work? So even that day, when we went back and forth, talked to, the manager's boss and the boss's boss, and finally got approval to do it, that took like 2 hours, and that was a cluster. So I'm reading this. I'm like, man, this sucks. Like, I hate to. And I told them there'd be a fee and there'd be an escort service. But I'm like, man, they have like a 4-hour minimum? That's nonsense, garbage. But in my conversation with the person at the terminal for vehicle pickup, she said, oh, yeah, you don't need that. You don't need that here. I was like, oh, like I don't need an escort at all? She's like, no, you don't need it. No, just at this terminal, every other terminal. But, and I talked to her and I'm like, well, what happens if I got an escort? She's like, well, you would get an escort. They'd gladly show up, but you don't need them. I'm like, and it's right there. It's again, like, don't always just go off what you read. It's double and triple checking, because right there, I saved my client $320 just for asking and not going off what is posted, because I've found even on the government website for Border Patrol, sometimes that stuff's not up to date and accurate. And I mean, this is, .gov. So lesson learned. Use your natural attributes. Use your face, your voice, your ears, not always just your eyes. So that's that experience. So and like I mentioned, I've been jonesing to get a car, and I know, I've talked about Evos here before, and especially being in Pittsburgh wintertime, I'm like, man, bringing an Evo in now would just be like such a cool Christmas type thing. Like if I could find a red one, put a green bow on it, I don't know, I have this whole thing playing out in my head. The only thing is, it's like we're still February 95 is like the earliest of the 3s, so we're still kind of stuck with the 2s, which, there's not a huge difference. I mean, power-wise, it was, 15 horsepower difference between them. A little more responsive, a little lighter in the 3s to the 2s. But it's like, I don't know, the body style is subtly different, but just enough that it doesn't look like an econo car. Like, it doesn't look like the general Lancer going from the 2 to 3. So I'm like, really want to get one, but, probably not going to find one. A 3, that is like that super early run that I can store. Because even when I search what's out there right now, I mean, we're talking right now, and this is coming up to the busiest day of the week for the auctions. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8. We have 8 that are posted, one of which that is actually legal, a 2 that can be brought in, as of now. The rest of them are dated too late. So, there's slim pickings. The other reason I want to get one is I think those 3s, we're going to see a big influx in the 3s, just because the GSR 3s, just they're a little more aggressive, the front chin spoiler, and it's I think the headlights, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the headlights are a shade different, like the same shape, but maybe it's the amber lights, but it's with the aggressive spoiler, the kind of lip kit that they put on them, I just think it's just enough that I would want one, because I was really waiting for the the larger revisions, the 4 and the 5, but we're years away. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn if I should stretch myself. If one does pop up, I might. I still want to get, when I'm thinking all-wheel drive cars, a Pulsar GTIR, but I've always liked those. But here's what we fall into with these cars, and something I've found, like, just because I like it doesn't mean I'm going to be able to sell it, and people are going to want it. And again, I'm looking to give people the best value. And with me, value is predicated on quality. So my goal is not ever to be the cheapest, because I don't offer that. I want to give the best value for what you get, right? So kind of a higher level of quality of the car that comes with a price tag, so I can make money. But I think that the value for the level of car is there, and I think it's greater than if I was just to bring in the highest mileage, cheap, kind of haggard, worn out cars, not touching them and just selling them. I think there's more value in what I'm doing. So but saying that, with the GTIRs, they're just not, they still go for good money. They really haven't dropped off over there, and I don't know. I don't see enough of them stateside here, and the ones that I have seen seem to sit for a while. I just, I don't know. But it's like one of the two I'd really like to bring in this winter. I just would like to, if I can get the FC fixed up and out of my hair. Obviously, this would be a super easy decision. I would just get something tomorrow, but I don't know. I might flex if I still have the FC and get something at least en route so I can have an all-wheel drive, something for the winter time. But those are like the two I'm looking for. I mean, as much as I'd like to get into some more obscure cars, I just that's for when I have a little more space and money. You know what I mean? Like when it's like those are the cars when you have like I don't know, like an SIR Civic and a Skyline, or an FC or an FD. Those are like the cars when you already have like two that everybody wants and that will sell quickly, and then you can get like an AutoZam or something like that, and something that's a little more niche, or like some of the vans. Like, and this the thing is too, and like I've mentioned this in previous episodes, like I'm not married to the cars I like. Like if I had it my way, yeah, there'd be like 4 cars that I'd bring in all the time, but I understand that, like, for me to do what I want to do and grow the business, like, I don't know, like Land Cruisers might be super popular in Pittsburgh. There might be a club that I don't even know about that loves like old turbo diesel stuff. And like, who am I to be like, well, screw it, I'm only bringing in Supras and Skylines. Like, if that's not the market here, that's not the market here, and maybe I do want to do some more local things, or at least in the Northeast, so people can actually come visit and see, the vehicles. And as much as I'm totally fine doing things nationally, there's more and more shops and importers, so it's not necessary, and it's also not like conducive to success. Sometimes I feel like I need to be a little more regional because there's some more options out there, and we're getting closer in the industry and in this type of business. We're getting closer to the point where it's going to become more traditional, where people are going to want to go to the dealerships or the importers that have cars to look at. That's, well, I'm looking at like 2 or 3 different. I'd like to come in and drive yours. Like, we're going to get a little more traditional, which I'm totally fine with, but I'm trying to prepare myself for and remain like mentally flexible that, yeah, I might have to get, I don't know, I might have to get a little more well-versed in, old Isuzus and like Suzukis and the, I don't know, just like the off-road stuff, because it might be more of a thing here. I don't know. I honestly haven't had a chance to I haven't been to any car events here. I haven't talked to many people. I mean, I feel like I'm super on an island again. I mean, I got to get all that stuff ramped up. But, first and foremost, it was, got to get the business set up. Business has got to get set up and ready to roll. And really my last hurdle, now that I have the brick and mortars, I need to get my online presence. I need to get this Google thing situated. If anyone has some thoughts there, I'm just super nervous that like I've lost my reviews, which are just, detailing reviews. I think I can get back quickly, but it's like the reviews for people that were import clients, like those are just paramount, because someone's really trusting you with a big purchase. They're sending money overseas for a car that they're not going to see for 5 or so weeks, and those reviews were huge. And it's like, if I lost those, it's going to be crushing. Makes me sick. So, I mean, that's my next project, is I need to get those listings back up. And if I have to get creative, and let me know, any of you that have experience with it, let me know what you think. Because, I mean, my options, I'm either, do I need 2 separate websites, and then maybe they'll do the listings, or there's different ways to do the listings there. And I'll split up the websites, or if I can only have one website, what do I like, or at least one business listing on Google My Business, do I just do Elusive Auto Company as my one business listing, and then, do some SEO stuff with detailing so people can still find detailing, because that's going to be the bread and butter right now. I need that to work, and I need those local views and people to find me when they search detailers near me. I need that, but I just don't want to drop the importing side, because that's, again, going to be another pillar. That's what started this all. Those are the reviews that I worked hardest for. I mean, that the most was on the line for, that I've put the most money into, like buying cars. I don't want to drop that. And if I can only pick one listing, which they're putting it that way to me now, it's like I don't want to just put the elusive auto shine listing and then just, no one will ever find me unless it's social media for the import. I don't know what to do. I got to figure a solution out soon though, because this is driving me nuts. It's stressing me out big time. Because guys, we need to get some more cars. Like I love all three pillars that I'm working towards on this business. I do. And, but I mean, come on, my soft spot is for the cars. And I'm not going to be able to do a high volume here in the next year or so in this space because in PA, like with most states, for a dealer license, you need to be in a separate building. But I can at least get things started here. And I'm telling you, I am always going to keep this space. I mean, as soon as I grow out of it is fine. I am always going to keep this space because it's so cheap and convenient. And we live in a place now that's way smaller than our place in Charlotte and only has a one-car garage, barely enough for one car. So I'm going to need storage anyway. So I'm going to keep that space forever. And I might, maybe someday separate things. That'll be kind of the detailing shop, and then I can find a smaller place, hopefully next year, the year after, when I'm ready to do, higher volume of cars. And I think too, I'm going to do what I set out to do, which is kind of a mix of imports and USDM, but Japanese. So that'll always be my niche, but not to keep things too narrow. It'll probably be a mix of left and right-hand drives. But for now, I want to continue to bring the right-hand drive cars in, as many as I can under the radar in PA, but we've got to get that FC going and other stuff. So I don't know. I got a lot going on, but I wanted to, I put things out there to hold myself accountable, because just putting them on a list on my phone is not enough. But I put it out there on social or on my podcast here, and it holds me more accountable. So that's why I barely had time for this, but I wanted to at least record it to keep you guys up to date. And I'd love to hear what you have to say about the car I should be looking at, what you'd be most interested in buying in the wintertime. It's not a buying season for fun cars, but I mean, let's be real. More and more people are driving these right-hand drive cars just regularly. Like, it doesn't have to be your second car. The two Cedrics I sold are for daily drivers. I mean, and they're fine. They're fine for daily drivers. Just don't go through drive-thrus. And how often do you need to go through a drive-thru anyways? Get out of your car, get some exercise. It's worth it for being on the wrong side of the road or of the car. You know what I mean? It's but yeah. Let me know what you think about what cars I should be looking at between the Pulsar, the GTR. I mean, obviously something all-wheel drive, WRXs, but again, those are cars that I feel like there would be more hype about, and they kind of sit usually when people bring them in. They're just not it's not as popular for some reason. But I am in the Northeast, and I have to get re-familiar with the culture here, and it is a Subaru-centric culture, so it might be a thing. But yeah, I'll keep my eyes out, and it's and just so you guys know, I mean, if you're thinking of cars, and you're kind of planning for the future of things you want to get, if you are looking at more of the rally, kind of the Group B type cars, right? Like the Lancers, the WRXs, things like that, Peugeots, which you can all get. I mean, and the Euro stuff is prevalent in Japan. So any of that Group B stuff that you're into, easy to get, right? Hard to get clean. Like Lancia Deltas, usually collector cars, kept pretty clean, right? Expensive though. But when you're getting into the, the Lancers, the WRXs, finding a low mileage that's not rusted out and beat, or even just a kind of an average mileage, has proven to be hard. Because even the ones that I see, I mean, Mitsubishi's notorious for awful paint. So, I mean, plan on a paint job on almost all of them, unless you found that random unicorn that was kept in a garage, which none of them will be. But yeah, usually higher mileage, usually some rust issues, and almost always paint work needed. So when you're getting into those, it's not quite, hey, let me import it, let me clean it up and drive it, and I'm going to be totally happy with it. They need some freshening up, And again, I mean, I don't need to go into depth on that power plant, it needs to be looked after as well. Especially if you're talking about some of these cars that have been modified. But the saving grace there is a lot of them are fairly stock. It seems like usually when people are getting Evos, GSRs even, they all look pretty stock as far as the ones that I've seen that pop up. But again, the clean ones are few and far between. So if you're planning on one, even if you're looking at ones that are legal to import now, a 2 and upcoming 3s, Evo 3s, plan on waiting for a little while. Be patient. And if you're not patient, plan on, putting some work in on the car. That's just inevitable. You're going to have to do it. But I think it's worth it because I think we're going to see a lot more of them, and they're going to get expensive. I know it. Especially when we're talking one of the 96s, in the 4s and such. And then when we get into the 5s, when they're legal, they're going to blow up. I really think they are because everyone loves that body style, Any Jackie Chan fan from back in the day loves that body style from Who Am I, they're going to be stunners. So, as always, questions, concerns, hate, hit me up on social at Elusive Auto Co. For the importing, any detailing questions, concerns. I've been talking to more people that have been trying to start detailing businesses, just kind of want some insight. And, hey, I'll share what I've went through. Hopefully it helps. But Elusive Auto Shine is the handle on social for the detailing portion. And as always, email me, Dante at elusiveautoco.com. Enjoy today. Hopefully you did. All of our updates are up to date, and now we're going to be moving forward on what's currently happening. So, and I do have some things in the process that I will be sharing next episode. Hopefully, well, you know what? Success and failures, it's all shared here. So, regardless of what happens with these upcoming things, you will hear about it because that's just how I roll. So, as always, thanks for the time. Enjoy the drive. Peace.